Hey everybody, welcome back to Connerty Meadows Farm. I am wearing bee stuff again today. I like dancing with my allergies, I guess. So today the plan is we have what they call a Quebec bee escape on top of a super. So the super is where they lay the honey. And we are going now to take that off and see how the bees are doing in one of the two hives. All right, so let's just get prepared here, get everything together, get the lids off, get our brushes. You can see there's a little bit of color difference between the top layer box, what they're trying to separate, and that is the Quebec bee escape. Unfortunately, as you can see here, it actually stuck to the super, and there was a whole bunch of bees stuck on the bottom of it. So I had to tell them to not put it down because that wouldn't have ended very well. They decided to go back over and take it off. Unfortunately, while they were working on prying it off, the part that had all the bees attached to it fell right there, and the bees kind of all fell on the ground. So then we had to take a little bit of time moving the bees to the front of the hive where they could find their way in. And you can see there's a few pretty good piles there. So now we've got to collect them. Come here. All right, go tuck them away. Very cool. Bees are actually very docile. This particular ones that we get, the guy breeds for them being quiet. So we just spent a lot of time making sure we were very gently scooping them up from the piles that they fell in. We didn't want them to be lost or cold. So we took a lot of time making sure that they got put away. This is a drone. It has been kicked out of the hive. They come through there and then they have to find their way out on any of the ends. As you can see, there's still some bees in there, so we've got to go ahead and make sure we get them all out because we will be taking this back to the house and we don't want any bees not to know where their home is, because if we move them and they didn't fly there, they're not going to find their way home. So the easiest way to do this is to take it out frame by frame and brush it off. They're just trying to smoke the bees down, see if they could get them to go out on their own, but it ends up just being easier to brush them off one by one. The problem is with the lid open is as you brush them off, more bees come because they smell it and they want to come and get it all. Now I just want to show you our beautiful view. So our hives are there and we have the goats, the sheep, and the cow out on the pasture. It was really nice working that day, seeing all the animals out and about. All right, back to the house we go. Up and over the creek, and let's get this stuff tucked away. Well, despite the dropping boo-boo accident and bees everywhere, we survived, and we're going to get ready to extract this stuff. Now we are going to store it in the shed with the Quebec bee escape on the top and the bottom in case there are any bees in there, just overnight, and then we will spin it the next day. All right, so we're on to the next day now, and we are going to do the purple hive today. But first, we are going to treat the hives. And what does that mean? Well, you'll see here, Thomas is putting these 2 strips on the hive, and what that does is it's going to kill all the bad things that hurt the bees and help keep the bees healthy. It's just a formic acid treatment, and it'll kill off all the parasitic mites that are not good. All right, so let's get this purple one extracted. So what we are doing is what was suggested by my friend Ange, and instead of taking the whole box across like we did last time, we are going to do frame by frame. But first, just like the yellow hive, we are going to put the treatment on. So you can see we do a strip on each corner. You can see that they're arranged, one on each corner. And then you put the lid on as quickly as you can, and the bottom board goes in. You want to reduce the amount of air circulation so that the treatment works effectively. And then we just box that up, and that was just the garbage from the treatments. Now, what we're doing this time is we're brushing the frames off and taking them one at a time over to another box to put the frames in. See, we knock them out into the front of the hive. They'll climb their way up. It's not a problem. Then we're going to do a quick brush. You can see we're just gently brushing any off that are on the frames. And then we are going to carefully, oh, he's just making sure there's no more on it. Then we are going to carefully walk this over and put it into this empty box, frame by frame, with a lid on it so that no bees can tag along. It's the easiest method, so you can see AC's just dropping the bees off, and we're also giving them a quick check, making sure that there's nothing in there that shouldn't be in there. And then we'll just do a quick gentle brush. Again, it's in front of the hive. The bees know where they are. They can smell their own hive, and they will be able to go in, and then we'll just walk it over and put it away. Oh, so here, this one actually had a hatching drone. You can see the queen had got up there and laid a couple eggs. And yes, we are taking the drone out, but a drone doesn't have a use right now. I know it sounds really cruel, and it would actually be kicked out for the winter anyway, so we're just gonna take it home, and if it finds its way back to the hive, great. If it doesn't, that's okay too, because it would be kicked out eventually anyway. So you can see they're just brushing. And here, I'm just going to show you in here. Some of this is capped, so. You can see here that the bees are finding their way in, the ones that we shook out in front of them. You can see them all climbing up on the front there. Now the other thing that's happening is with the strong smell of the treatment, a lot of the bees will actually leave the hive, and I'm going to show you some pictures here. So this is the next day. The bees are getting out of the hive while the treatment is working on the frames inside the hive, and this is called bearding, and it is normal when you've treated them for them to do that. We are about 3 or 4 days later now, and we are going to feed the bees, and that doesn't require us to open up the hive itself where the treatment is. We are just putting feed in the top of these feeders.
That little container on the top is a feeder, and the cup goes on to make sure no one gets stuck in it. Just a few in yours, eh, hon? So what Thomas has in the pail is honey that we spun off, and we are going to feed that back to them.
You can see it's beautiful rich honey, and they will use this to get moved down into the hive for their winter storage. And both hives got equal amounts of honey. That little cap you put on makes sure that the bees don't drown in it. They can come up through the bottom and get what they need.
Oh no.
Okay,
Get the lid on, quick, quick.
the lid on the other side. Not this one, the other side.
A bee head flowing into this one, so you can see AC scoops it out there before she puts the lid down. We don't want to hurt anybody if we can avoid it.
Lid on.
Please excuse my screaming cow in the background. She is not in pain or hurt or anything like that. She just happens to be in heat and in need of a male to keep her company, which we don't have. You can see AC is being very careful about scooping out any bees that did fly in. If she puts them in front of the entrance, the sisters will all come out and they will actually clean off the honey from the bee that got stuck in the honey. It's fascinating to watch. Now we're going to go ahead. We are going to make sure there's no bees where they're not supposed to be, and everything's even. And let's get the lid on, strap back down. You can see there's a couple bees stuck in the back, and they make sure that they're all scooped out. Maybe we're a little more fastidious about it than some people are, but we just, if we can avoid hurting them, obviously we're going to. So I have gone ahead and I have split this video up a bit. It's a number of days apart. It just seemed to work better that way for your viewing. The next video that we have will be on the actual honey extraction. This was just removing what we call the supers, which were the smaller boxes from the top, and giving these bees their treatment and feeding them. On that note, we'd like to thank you for hanging out with us again on the farm and at the apiary, and we will see you next time.